morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. We're having the same issue
Oh
with
my goodness.
yes. So let me see if I could fix this, and we'll do this. I did this last time. Let's see if we can fix it. I'm hoping I remember that this is how I fixed it last time. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, now we go back to this, and that should fix it. You know what's funny is it had a little check mark like Facebook was okay, and then it wasn't. So anyway, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Hopefully we have solved that problem. And I think so far so good. I'll check in a moment to see if we are actually live on there. So good morning, everyone. It is Thursday. Today is a wonderful conversation. We're happy that you are here. So I am the Badass Buddha. I am broadcasting today from Eastern Tennessee, and very happy to be here, and very happy to be in Tennessee, but also very happy to be here on Viva Cafe con Leche. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. It's so exciting when you're somewhere new. Hola, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru. And I am still in Connecticut, loving it. I love the cool mornings and the cool evenings. So no complaints here. I'm just enjoying the fact that, because it's a beautiful morning. Yeah. We got to learn the song.
All right. So yes, we are live. We are live. So, all right. I love your earrings, Gladiator Guru. By the way, I always love the feather. I got to get some feather
They
earrings.
are from Bridget, Necessities 101.
You know what's nice about those more than the regular? Number one, they're not just feathers. Usually, feather earrings are just feathers, but they're also long. Like they come down, and then the feather starts. And a lot of times, the feather is like here, and it just kind of comes right off the ear. So it's like you notice it more.
Yeah, and it has the big gold thing here that really sets it off. So it's beautiful.
Well, we're waiting for people to come on. This is going to be a great conversation. So even if you are coming on late, we hope that you rewatch or if you, I'm saying you're coming on late as if somebody's on here already. But what I mean is that you might want to watch this more than once with the conversation that we're going to have today, because we're going to be talking about limitlessness. And that is what we're going to do for today and Tuesday and Thursday, which next week is the last week in July, which is mind-blowing to me, mind-blowing. So we're going to just really push it out there about what is your potential, like what is possible for you to do. So good morning, Tiffany Bryant. Tiffany is the first one on. Yay. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning, Tiffany.
Now, how much have you been getting done while you are in CT, Gladiator Guru?
Good. I have actually made some of my tea, and I already have 7 orders of these size jars. And then I
Nice.
adorn them with the honey thing.
Yep.
And I fill these with the tea bags, with the whole, like the whole cloves, the whole anise. So it fills up with the things. So I have 7 orders of those. So I'm kind of excited with that. Um, and I've been getting a lot of writing done while I've been here, and not so much connections because I don't have a car, so I'm not out a lot. But um, it's been lovely. It's been a lot of when you remove yourself from where you always are, it's like your mind is like a kid running into a playground. Like we're
I agree.
free, and it's so funny because sometimes like when I'm in Florida, it's where I live. So you go about your routine, and routine, I think, is a silent killer of imagination, of creativeness sometimes because you're stuck to a routine. So here it's been like it's been a lot going on. Painting some purses, making teas, and and getting some writing done. So it's been good. It's been good for my soul to actually take it out on vacation. Yeah. Get
Good.
hola milagros, Iritza. Look at
Yeah.
they're all coming on.
Yes.
So
Yes. Don't forget
buenos
to
dias,
like,
welcome.
share, and don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and make sure that you let everybody know that you're here today. You are correct, Gladiator Guru. Getting out of the environment, routine does kill. That was that quote that I don't remember from Mendoza, but it's about talking about routine like kills your ability to be creative. Listen, there's something to be said about routine with certain things. It helps you hold accountability for yourself, but it's just like anything. Like too much is not good. And what the beauty is that if you have to have some sort of routine in your life, why not kick it up where you break the routine every so often, and do it not like every so often, like months. We're talking like on a weekly basis, or do things a little bit out of order to sort of get your brain, thinking. And because sometimes too, routine also causes your brain to just get into this very specific loop or cycle, and we start to lose function. We're not, we don't have that creativity. It was interesting. I had a client tell me that she's been doing things that she's never done before, and she's absolutely loving it. She picked up those coloring books that you use for they said it helps the adult brain, and she got these really nice colored pencils, and she started coloring, and she goes, I never realized how much I enjoyed coloring, and it brought me back to being a child. But because they're the adult ones, you're making these really cool patterns. She goes, and then she goes, I happen to like tell she was like, I told somebody that I was coloring, and they said, oh, when you use the pencil, put crayon over it and you get this really cool design. She's like, so I tried it and it was really great. And she's like, and I'm really, really enjoying just sitting quietly and coloring. And she said, a year ago, I would have said to myself, this is such a colossal waste of time. Like, I'm wasting my time, and it's not okay because like I've got so many other things to do. She's like, but it's for my spirit, And it was so nice to hear her say that. It really was.
You
Good morning,
know,
Gail. Good morning, Desiree.
good morning, Gail and Desiree. Yes. Oh, Petey had some of my tea. Let me tell you that it was funny that you're bringing that up because that's exactly what I was doing last night, was coloring with Savannah. And it is, I don't like the adult ones, I don't like notebooks with lines in it because I feel like it restricts my creativity. I feel like I have to write in between the lines. Like I'm still following the masses when I'm writing in lined notebook paper. So with the adult, like the mandala, all the adult things, I think they're too intricate for my boisterous creative spirit. And it feels like I still have to stay within those rigid little lines. So I like the kids coloring books because you got like the Barbie and all
But
these
she
big
liked that.
things.
Like that was actually one of the things she said was she loved the idea that she stays in the line. So it's so funny that it's to each his own. In other words, like, Gladiator Guru talked about how when Eric was alive and she was like, she had to find an outlet for everything that she was dealing with, and she never even knew that she was an artist. She never knew that she was a painter, and then she started to do that stuff, right? And sometimes we don't know what's within us until we give it a try. So what we're talking today about is limitlessness. We're talking about like really, really embracing what is possible, your potential. And sometimes you have to step outside that box. You have to do things that you've never done before. And you don't have to drag people with you. Sometimes we like to drag people with us. We feel a little bit more comfortable, and that's okay. But if people don't want to go, that doesn't mean you're going to stop yourself. Like if you want to take a painting class, or like where in Connecticut, I always wanted to take the stained glass class. There was a stained glass maker, and they used to be right in Shelton, but then they moved. I think they're in Oxford now. But I always said I always wanted to learn how to do that because it's so beautiful. I love stained glass. I would have like multiple windows with stained glass if I could. But so what was I waiting for? You know, I put it off so long that they moved out of Shelton and they went up into Oxford. So, but I still am considering that, like, hey, sit down and do that. I would like to do a bar class, you know, not a bar. I mean, a pole dancing, not a bar, pole dancing class, you know. And if I can't find people to do it with me, I'll just go to attend a class because I don't want to waste my life anymore waiting for other people to be on board with what I want to do. So think about like the craziest things that you might have been thinking about doing or trying, and don't get in your head saying, oh, you're probably going to be lousy on it at it. So what?
Be lousy.
But maybe you'll surprise yourself and be like, holy shit, I didn't even know I have this.
Exactly. That's why you have to say, I might suck, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. Don't go in there saying, I'm just going to be so brilliant. I'm going to be the best one to ever have tried this, knowing you've never done anything. I think that when we just say, I want to do it and I have the opportunity to do it, I'm going to try. And you go ahead with no expectations, you're going to enjoy it, whether you master it or not. You're going to enjoy the simpleness of just having to do it. Now, limitless is a lot. It's about doing things. It's about cheating yourself. Like, you have to understand that no matter what it is you set out to do it with all your heart. Don't do it because somebody asked you to do it. Don't do it because somebody that you hang with is doing it. You know, forge your own path and whatever it is you want to do. That to me is limitless right there. Just saying, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Oh my God. Look at Desiree. Desiree said that's her nephew's place. Yes, the glass source. Oh, it's in Seymour. Isn't that funny? What a freaking small world. That is just too funny.
See, look at that. I think that we what is the title of the show? Maybe we can start with that because that was a good one. What does it mean, limitless?
Limitlessness.
You wrote it. You read it when we came on.
Yeah, that's from you. Just say the word though for yourself. Just say the word.
Let it roll off your tongue.
Limitlessness. It's such a really fun word. Limitlessness. Like, I am limitless. I want to fill my life with limitlessness. Put that word on the wall, like write it on a piece of paper and just write limitless. Because we know that the only thing we've learned all month, that the only thing that limits us is ourselves. We could sit there and say, well, this person prevented me or this person. In the end, we have to be honest and say, we allowed it. We allowed it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now it's time to say no mas. Like,
no mas.
We've got to be it. Life is too short. Good morning, Nina. Nina's on. And we have to, so limitlessness is oh my gosh, it helps if I have there's no light and I don't have my glasses on.
But I'm the same
I
way
did not
with
self-sabotage. Like, this is something that Gladiator Guru talks about. I did not self-sabotage. I self-preserved. So if like, sometimes we guilt ourselves and we say, my God, you know, I've been sabotaging myself for years, and you shame yourself. Enough with that. Like, it's not productive whatsoever. We know that guilting and shaming from other people, like, it might get us to do things, but we're pissed off doing it. And that's just not, it's manipulative. That's just not the way to do it. And we do it the worst to ourselves. So when you say, well, I've been self-sabotaging, let's flip it. And just like Gladiator Guru said, when she was in her self-isolation, she was not isolating as depression. She was self-preserving. She was finding herself. She was redirecting herself, giving herself that space and grace. So if we say, I was not self-sabotaging, I was self-preserving. But if you choose to stay in that realm, then you will be self-sabotaging. Now it's time to say, okay, I've learned, and now it's time. It's my time.
If yes, it's always your time. I think, Yahweh, me, everybody else. I learned that and I believed it and I've lived it since I sold Mary Kay in 1990. It's always your higher power, you, and then everyone else. When you lead your life that way, you're not excluding your children or your spouse. What you're doing is including them in your limitless possibilities of a better life.
Yes.
When you say, oh, I can't because I got to do this for my kids, I got to do this for my husband, that's your limitless. You're limiting yourself to the point where they're going to look at you. What are you teaching them? To give up for somebody else? That you can't do something because you got to be ever so present for everybody else while being absent for yourself. So there's a lot of people I know that think that when they say that, it's making them sound like a grandiose parent. It's not. You're teaching your child to live in a box and wait for someone else to give them permission to do something.
Yeah.
Because children learn by what they see. And what they're seeing is you not eating, you not resting, you not dressing up, you never smiling because you're so busy being Captain Save-A-Hole that you're not enjoying the simple things in life. And it's not selfishness. That is selflessness. That is you doing what we talked about Tuesday. That is you honoring the I am within.
Yes.
And if you can't honor that I am within, then you have already set the bar of limiting yourself to play small.
Yeah. Think about it this way, right? If we're Captain Save-A-Ho and Save-A-Bro all the time, we believe, this is where the belief comes in, that is, we're being selfless. But actually, we really are being selfish because it is filling a need within us to give, and we are not allowing ourselves to deal with the situation. And so we end up being the needy people, and that does make us selfish when we are constantly giving.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does too is it, as Gladiator was saying, is it shows our children and our grandchildren and people around us is that we have no boundaries. We're going to keep going till we're exhausted, we're miserable, and we can produce very entitled children and people around us where they have this expectation, well, mom will always do it or grandma will always do it and it's always going to happen. And then when you finally say no, they get very pissed off.
Like,
yeah.
What's wrong with her?
Right. And then they try to guilt and shame you.
Yes.
And before that's when you have to take charge and say, okay, I'm not going to allow you to go ahead and guilt and shame me. This is for me. Like, I'm not allowing this. You can say whatever you want, but I gave and gave to you, and now I'm saying no, and you're either going to figure this out or you're not going to figure this out. And so you take charge. And that's part of your limitlessness, is taking charge, putting up those boundaries, and deciding what is best for me for the long run. Because it does affect everybody around you in a positive way as well anyway.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the most important thing is you. Everything begins and ends with you. When you wake up in the morning, your day begins with you. When you go to sleep, your day ends with you. So everything in between has to honor the spirit that is within you. So when you say, I would love to do that, but I don't know, maybe I won't like it, or I can't waste that money because I need it for this, or I got to do groceries. See, whenever you're discussing something about yourself, you limit yourself when you see you investing in something for yourself as a waste. So you got to be careful with the words we speak to ourselves. So when you limit yourself to, I can't, and oh no, I shouldn't, or I'm not going to, then you've already lost. And then the bitterness comes in, and the envy comes in, and the jealousy. And then you're looking at everything with blinders on, so your peripheral vision's out the door. So all you're seeing is what's directly in front of you. And sometimes that's not a pretty sight because you're looking in the mirror. and you've already limited yourself to believing that you are worthy. So when you are limitless, when you self-preserve, then what are you doing is you're valuing the woman or man that you are exactly where you are in this moment. And you might only have lint in your pocket, but you have a pocket that can be filled. And that's how you have to look at it. Where are you right now in your life? And you might not like it, but you got there somehow. Who was driving you there? Was it you? Was it the limited beliefs you put upon yourself? Did you follow somebody there because, well, I couldn't do it on my own, so I had to wait for so and so, and this is where they dropped me off? That's where you start. How did I get here? What am I going to do while I'm here so that I can reach those heights when I leave? That is living limitlessly. That is self-preserving. That is having a plan where you're going. Remember, you are the historian of your yesterday, so you can't change that. It's history. You are the professor of your today at one of the highest, most prestigious universities in the world. You are the professor. Okay? So, what is your plan of the day? What is your lesson? What is your assignment for today? You are the event planner of your tomorrow. You. Everything is you are the historian of yesterday. You are the professor of today. You are the event planner of your tomorrow. No one. People can make suggestions. People might even try to manipulate to do something that would benefit them more than you, but you will pay the higher cost of whatever doesn't go right. So when you limit yourself, you're not living for you. You're existing for everyone else's needs. When you decide to take your power back and say, I'm going to live limitlessly, it's not that you're better than anybody. It's that you're the best for you. Go ahead, Badass.
What we want you to do is take a moment, like literally right now, and write in the comments some of the things that you've always wanted to try, you've always wanted to do that you just never did, or things that you've been putting off, or things on your bucket list, and let's talk about these things. What do you believe yourself to be when you're talking about limitlessness? What is limitless about you? What is it that you know you're capable of, but you don't take advantage of enough, or you know that it's that you second guess yourself, but deep down you believe that you can do it, or there's that part of you that doesn't necessarily believe that you can do it, but you kind of think that if I had a little push, I could do it. So start, and if not for us here, do it for yourself this weekend, because if you have not done this so far, this is the time to do it, because next month is about taking action. And so if we're going to talk about taking action, we need you to be on board with this and be ready to take action on whatever it is that you're doing. If there's things that you used to do that you don't do anymore, that you kind of say, I kind of miss that, I wouldn't mind doing that again. Put it down on that list.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm here in Tennessee, it's funny because there's a lot of, open space. It's very rural. There's a lot of hills, and in my head, I'm thinking, I have my motorcycle license. I've had my motorcycle license for a couple of decades now. And, I thought to myself, it'd be really nice to actually own a motorcycle here and have one and like, if I end up getting a job that's a little drive away, I could save money by using my motorcycle, but it's so scenic. It's such a scenic, beautiful place that I thought, what, I would like that. I think that's going to be a possibility, not this year. I don't want it for this year, but for next year, that I want to be able to have a motorcycle and use it, and
I love it.
It's not that I didn't think about that periodically in Connecticut. It's just Connecticut's very crowded. And if anybody's ever been on a motorcycle, whether you're the driver or the passenger, you know that it can be very scary when there's a lot of people, because people don't hear or see motorcycles and they cut you off all the time. But here there's more openness, so it's like you can take those moments for yourself, And now, is that something that I will do next year? I don't know. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. I'm open to it.
Yes.
I'm open to so many things in the relocation process when I come here. What am I open to? What am I seeing? What am I not seeing? Now that I've been down here, I'm seeing things that we don't have down here that we have where I live, in Connecticut. And in my head, I'm thinking, maybe I could be the one that brings that down here. Maybe I could be the one that creates that. Maybe that could be a new business for me, or in addition to the business that I have, So all these things are playing out in my head. And it's because new environment, new place, your thoughts get clearer. So limitlessness, we limited ourselves because of where we put ourselves. Sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was a good move. And we're not saying it wasn't. It's just that sometimes we have to pull ourselves out if we become stagnant. And that's the question, are you willing to admit that to yourself, that you have in fact become stagnant? What is it that you've missed doing, maybe from your past, that you no longer do? What are you missing out because you never tried but always said you wanted to? And what are new possibilities? Like, talk to people. My God, I would really love to be able to do that. And then, well, why don't we? Why don't you?
Yes, look at Gail says, the only thing I can think of right now is getting on the road sooner, and I want to visit Barcelona. I will be in Madrid and in Barcelona on my way to Italy pretty soon. So do it. I mean, everybody's like, you're going to do what? I'm in my second half of my life. I'm doing whatever the hell I want. Amen. And whoever I want. Iritza says, I love to sew, and I will take a project and don't give myself time to do more of it. And I get mad at myself. I don't feel that I am as good as before, but it's just because I'm not practicing enough. And it makes me happy to see the finished project. Let's get it on and popping, Mija. I've been telling you, I got some pants I want you to create for me. And she is a great seamstress. And sometimes we forget our greatness because we let life get in the way. But remember, me, I totally into spiritual warfare. And sometimes when you are chosen, when you are selected, when you are gifted, there's always the enemy is trying to get in your way. And then all we do is like, oh, whatever, I'll get back to it later. And later becomes later and later until it's too late.
Yeah.
So I met someone who I got a facial, and I believe, I don't know if she's still on, but, and it's so funny because I had her cup to use today and I left it on the counter. And she was doing just that. She has a beautiful, she said, I'm going to do this. She left her career. She opened her own business in a section of her house. And the aesthetics in there are beautiful, relaxing. And she took a leap of faith and she did it. And you know what? Sometimes we got to cut the net out and stop going back to that job that creates such anxiety and negative feelings about ourselves in life, and do what our hearts desire. And people say, oh, I can't do that because what? Because you don't want to.
I can't because, and remember what we said, I can't is not I can't. Most of the time it is I won't.
Yeah,
I won't. And be honest with yourself about that. Remember, don't lie to yourself. Say it in Spanish.
Nunca te engañes, coño.
It's saying, okay, if you say I can't do that, or I can rephrase it and admit it, I won't do that. Okay, and why won't I do that? I won't do that really because I just won't make the time for it. I won't put the money aside for it, and I don't really want to do it, or I'm afraid, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that you are afraid. There's a lot of people that are afraid to do things, but maybe you need to find those people and say, let's all just do it together. Like that whole thing with the pole dancing, right? I didn't want to do it because I never liked my weight. And I was like, I'm too heavy. I'm going to look ridiculous. I'm not very strong. I'm not going to be able to do it. And then finally I just said, you know what? I'm curious to see how I do. Like, I'm curious to see how strong I am. And then the beauty is that that was on my vision board, was to lose weight and become stronger and more fit. So this is a good judge for me to really test it out and say, okay, if I want to be able to do this and I can't do that, then this is, I know, my starting point. And it's me being honest with myself instead of ignoring it and saying, well, I don't want to be bothered with it because I don't want to know how bad it is. I want to say, no, I want to know how bad it is so that I can fix this. You know, that this is something that's very interesting, is that this has been a quest for me, this, especially over the last, say, 2 to 3 months, to really lose weight and get in shape. And it's really helped me to be able to do the things that I've been doing on this house, you know, and then plus going up and down the steps, and it's a big house, you know, and I'm seeing, it's very interesting being in this area, seeing people, how unhealthy people are, you know. And what's even odder is to see people that are older than me in really decent shape, and then people that are younger than me that are in terrible shape. And in my head, I sat there and I said to myself, I'm very grateful for the fact that I am in good shape. I'm not in the shape that I want to be yet, but I'm in pretty good shape. I'm very physically active. I don't have any aches and pains. I don't have anything wrong with me. I don't have any health problems. I'm not on medication. And I'm grateful for that. You know, I know these other people, based on how they look and how they're speaking, are on a lot of, they're not in great health, and they're younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an awareness. It's deciding that's not good enough. I don't want to live my life I don't want to live my life tethered to medications, hospital visits, doctor visits. I want to be able to go and explore. I don't want to be limited. I want to be able to throw a bag of something on my shoulder and walk out. And when they say, do you need help? If I want help that day, I can ask for help. But if I don't, I could say, nope, I got it. Because I want to be able to do all these things for a really, really long period of time. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way is to become aware of this, where I am at this moment in time, and then what's important to me. So if I'm going to go grab that bag of potato chips, I have to stop and think to myself, is this really important to me in the long run? Or is it only important to me at this moment in time because it tastes good and I'm a little stressed out? What else can I do to redirect my stress and lessen my stress? Why does it have to be around food?
That's a good one to ponder. Iris says, if Lizzo can do the pole, anyone could.
That's the
And she
truth.
shows that it doesn't matter how big you are, anyone can work the pole. Gwen says, but there was something else prior to that. Hold on. Oh, she was talking about Jackie with the facials, because she does it with love. Gwen says, I want to travel. I wish I knew how to sew a lot better. I need to journal more. I would love to learn how to drive a motorcycle. That's a good one, Lori. I need to learn how to have a good green thumb for indoor plants. I can do outdoor ones, but indoor is a no-go. I need to get back in shape really bad. The thing I need to work on is moving out of where I'm living. It's very tricky because my mother is really sick, but it's affecting my health as well. Me too. I would also love to learn the guitar. Hi, ladies. Listen, Gwen, I love you. Known you forever. And as a caregiver for 6 years with Eric with ALS and 4 years with my mom with dementia, the only thing I can tell you is sometimes the sickly depend on us so much that they're sucking the very life out of us. So if it's affecting your health, then I would secure someone to be there with her, and you'll be less available, because sometimes when you're less available, they're more adaptable to handle things on their own. Just saying, Eric was paralyzed, so that was a no-go. But my mom, even when she didn't want to eat, let's say she forgot, I would never, ever feed her, because then I was enabling her not to use her hands.
Yes.
I would prompt her. I would put it there. I would get the same thing she was eating, and I would have her watch me eat it. until she did it. But as much as I was afraid she wasn't going to eat, or whatever the case may have been that I was feeling at that moment, maybe frustration because, oh, here we go again. I never enabled her enough to start feeding her. So sometimes nothing affects our health, our thoughts, our emotions. Nothing sets our ego against our spirit other than ourselves.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to cultivate that self-trust, how to cultivate that self-belief in our decisions, how to cultivate that self-respect that no matter if we fail or succeed, we are still the best, most amazing person to ourselves. And that's what we have to do. You don't go up on this pedestal, but you don't also drown in the gutter. You have to be always in the middle of yourself so that you can realize what it is that I need to alter in my life to benefit me at this point. And then you can do it. And I think that, you know what? Let's put it down. You want to be all that? When people used to say, Margie, what can't you do? I always say I can't sing or sew. I crazy glued those buttons on. But because that's my truth. But you see, I didn't limit myself. I can't sing a song. I wish I could just come out and start singing like Anita Baker, Sade, because I love them, or be raunchy like La India, but I can't. But I still sing along because I'm tone deaf, so I love the way I sound. But I'm saying that, you know what? When we limit ourselves by the crazy beliefs that we've adopted or absorbed from individuals around us, then we believe that we have failed before we even began. That's truly limiting yourself. I'm aiming for international motivational speaker. Go do it. I think you would be phenomenal at it, Nina. Right. Oh, Badass said, yes, go for it. Listen, I always say, if you're going to be, whatever you're going to be the best at it. Be the best, the very best at it. And then you're going to reach a point when if it wasn't for you, you didn't waste time. You just took up a semester in college and you figure out, oh, that was a big mistake. What should I do next? That should always be your attitude. Okay, that didn't work out. What's next? Not let me plop down and give up on life because I invested all this time and money in something in it. Now everybody's going to look at me like, fuck it. Fuck it. That's why a lot of people stay in prison with the cell door wide open because they're worrying too much about what other people think about them, what their opinions are going to be. Or I can't do that because if I show up there, they know what happened and they're going to look at me and laugh. Fuck them. Give them something to talk about. Walk in there as beautiful as you can be and be like, hey, how are you? And keep going. Gotta have that attitude that I know that you know that I know what happened, but you don't scare me, bitch. In any scenario. You know why? Because we prevent ourselves from enjoying life because of people, places, and things. So remember, the key word is you are the historian of your yesterday. Nobody can, should, or would manipulate you with your past, because the operative word here, it is your past. They may try, but you already lived it. You already took care of the wounds. Okay, you're the ones carrying those scars around. Do not let anyone intimidate you, bully you, make you feel any less than by bringing up your past. Say, oh my God, you remember that? Woo, that was a crazy time in my life, but thank God for it because it's where I am, who I am today. Shoot them down. That is you self-preserving and not self-sabotaging. When you allow other people's thoughts and opinions of you to minimize you, you're limiting yourself to the ant that, is working hard to survive for the winter. You must know that you are here today because you matter. And the only person that prevents you from growing into the divine purpose that you're meant to be is you. So stop blaming everybody.
That's right. That's right. It's not saying that people didn't join in and manipulate. because there are rotten people out there. I've had a
That's
lot.
why I said, say, hey, how are
I've
you?
had a lot of them in my life, but the thing is, there's a point where you finally say, "That's it. Okay, I'm done," and then you tell people, like, you lay down the law, and then when they bring up that past, when they say, "Oh, remember when you were like this," or and say, "Yeah, I do," and the reason it works, that manipulation, is because we feel so damn vulnerable.
Because you let it.
And because we let it. That's right. And instead of taking that, say, you know what? No more are you going to limit me by telling me what I used to be like, or the things that you believe me to be. I don't buy into that anymore. Even if you don't believe it yet, you could. That's where those are the few times where you can fake it till you make it. And you say, no, I've got to push myself. I might not deep down believe I'm strong enough yet, but I'm going to push myself like I am. And if you find the tribe, find the people that are willing to do it with you, it will be, there'll be that accountability piece that you need. Like if you really want to get out and say, oh, I want to go kayaking, but I've never kayaked in my whole entire life, find a group that kayaks on a regular basis. That or a group that's brand new at it, or a group that welcomes new people in, or they start in areas that are not so crazy. I mean, there's kayaking, and then there's holy crap kayaking, and go into the ease into it, but it starts with you making that decision, you coming to the conclusion of who you are, what is important to you, and then honoring yourself to say, I deserve this. That what I thought about myself is such bullshit. It is such bullshit. We were all born limitless. We opted to limit ourselves, and don't give that bull crap that it's too late, I'm too old, blah, blah, blah. You are not too old to make changes in your life. You're not. Oh, well, I have this going on. Okay, maybe there are certain situations or circumstances that you're in the middle of, like Gwen was saying, but I'm going to say it, and it's going to sound terrible, but please understand where I'm coming from. That situation will end at some point. Okay. But you have to prepare now for when that situation ends. What I mean is it could end in the worst case scenario where she passes away. It could end in that somebody else comes in and starts helping out. It could end in that she goes into a facility that is that's helping her. What I mean is, a lot of times we sit and we use every excuse in the book. I can't because of this. I can't because of that. I can't because of this. Then when we no longer have that to blame, we're sitting there with our thumb up our ass going, well, now what do I do? Well, now what do I do? I wasn't prepared. Prepare. Do the best you can. Get out as much as you can to clear your head. Work on yourself now, even when you feel like you can't, you're too tired, you're too frustrated, because these people are helping, pushing, keeping you where you are. You've got to push beyond that. You've got to decide that I'm worth this, and not allow them to do that anymore. And then once you start to just break free, okay, it's just like this. If you're caught in something, if you are in a container and somebody locked you in there and you're like, it's hopeless, I can't get out. You're just going to sit in the container and give up, or you're going to keep trying, and you're going to keep trying. And then all of a sudden, one little break in the top of that container, and a little light shines through. Oh my God, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually breaking open that container. What happens in any good movie? They get one little break, they start like it inspires them to try harder. If I got that little piece through and it took me all this time, I'm going to break that up. I'm going to keep breaking it. We want you to break free from your current life that's limiting you. Keep breaking until you get that little piece and that sunlight starts to come in, and then get motivated and keep pushing. Keep banging on the door, whatever scenario you need to play out, because I'm going to tell you that if you have limited yourself because of people, places, and things all these years, you are in a cage, my friend. You are in a box. And it is time for you to say, I can break free from this cage. All I need is just that one little thing. And then I'm out, and I'm going to push myself out. And then all of a sudden, anything anybody's saying to you is not going to matter, because your focus is going to be on breaking further that whole opening. as if your life depends upon it, because it does.
It does. And that was a good analogy you just gave. And then you said something earlier. See, when people, places, and things provoke you to be in a slump or not do this or everything, or to be limited, remember it's you chose to be limitless. Like I deal with people, family, friends, or whatever, and they always want to say, well, I was around these people. You still had your big girl panties on and you didn't pull them up. And so, others will play in your life. They're going to come and play in your sandbox. And then it starts pouring and they left. And you chose to stay in that mess of everybody's opinions, ideals, and thoughts. So at what point in our slumpness do we stop blaming people, places, and things? Now I hear what you said, Badass Buddha, but you know what? People will manipulate you. People will try to get you to see their point of view. People will do everything. I believe that if you allow it, or if you fall for their schemes, then it's not that they manipulated you and then like you believe what they said. When you finish that sentence, I believe what they said. Now ask yourself, why did I believe what they said? Because I wanted to.
Exactly.
Because it sounded good. Because,
Yes.
I'm just doing this because they can do that. No. First is, remember, mi gente, when you're trying to get away from something, do not feed false hopes and do not accept false hopes from people outside of you. Because then what you're doing is null and void. Because instead of changing, experiencing something new, something different, something stronger, something more profound, you're just bringing the same ingredients and your shit's going to taste worse because now you're in a whole different situation with the same ingredients. And you can't leave what Spain to me has bland food. You can't take the ingredients of a Spaniard omelet and take it to India and expect it to have the same flavor. It's not going to happen. You're going to be missing. So and Iris can say it, for me, I'm not telling you to do or not to do. What I'm saying is own up to your own shit. Stop saying, well, when I was in this situation, this scenario had me believing this. Well, you're not in it no more. So why are we still talking about that? When you take ownership of whatever happened to you, of what's happening to you, and say, if I step away, is this person going to die? Ask yourself that, Gwen.
Well, and that's
are they going to pick up and say, when they don't want to receive help? My husband did that. He didn't want no outside help because it kept me there. Because I'm a free spirit and I needed even to go and just walk up and down the aisles of something. But he said he didn't trust nobody there. He didn't want hospice. He didn't want care, nothing. He wanted me there, but it was to keep me there because of his own insecurities, his fears, whatever it might have been. And I even told him so. That's why we argue, fuss, and laughed every day. But the thing is, nobody's perfect, and I fuck up all the time. And sometimes I say much more than I need to say, and people get offended. But then they might come back to me and say, you know what? I was so like Byron. Always, he wouldn't talk to me for weeks. I didn't know what the hell happened. And he'll come back and say, you said something and it pissed me off. And I just had to get away from you. And I said, well, what I said, because I said a lot. He's like, you told me the truth and I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And so not that I'm always telling truths, but what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter. To me, see, the Badass Buddha and I, we have different takes on this. But for me, people, places, and things played a role in those times in my life, but it's not because of that I am who I am. I am who I am because I went from one part of the spectrum to the other. So when all of those horrible things were happening to me and nobody was there to hug me for it or to tell me, let's get out of here, I had to endure. And I endured. And it made me tougher. It made me stronger. No nonsense. I wanted to be a mercenary. That was my take on life. I want to be hired as a mercenary. Okay.
I want to just point out you could. I'm sorry. You didn't
No,
finish.
and because of my childhood and being raised by one parent and being taught all of this and seeing what I started, I thought it would be an easy transition for me, but it didn't happen. But I raised myself on survival mode up until recently. So that's one side of the spectrum. But on each side of the spectrum, whether I'm on one side of survival mode, whether I'm this side of accepting acknowledgement mode, or whether I'm in the middle of I just don't give a fuck, I am responsible for what happens to me from today forward, as I am the professor of my today. Because whatever happened yesterday can be changed, altered, whatever. All I can do is look back. Oh, yeah, that shit happened. I have to remove it from today's agenda. So people, places, and things did something to you in that moment, but where are you today doing for you? Nobody's at fault why you have not taken a step into yourself. That's living limitlessly, in my view. Go ahead, Cara.
I also, because again, this is a common situation that happens, and I want to thank Gwen for being honest and straightforward. She says, Mom is extremely stubborn and refuses all treatment and others coming in to help. What would happen if you just disappeared for a few days?
That's what I was saying.
That's the thing. I know you started to talk about that, and that's just it. She knows how to get to you. So she knows, she keeps refusing all the help to keep you there. And so it's interesting is, what if you asked her, what if you sat down with her and said, Mom, you realize that, like, because you're refusing help, I'm very limited on the things that I can go and do for myself, and see what she says. If she is a manipulative person, then she's going to sit there and be like, well, and she's going to try to guilt you for even making a statement like that.
If I can't do it, neither can you.
And you have to be in charge and be like, well, you know what? I'm getting somebody to watch you today because there's a lot of stuff that I have to do. And that's it. You know what it's like? And this is, I mean, it was a movie, but still, think back to the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman. When her husband got shot, she ran to the hospital to go see him. She was the one who cared about him, not his mistress that he had been with for how many years and had a kid with. And she was the one that was taking care of him with. And then he had the nerve to be still an asshole to her. And that was when she finally said, okay, you think you're all that? Go ahead, go on. And she left him in that wheelchair for what, like 2 days or something like that. And he peed and pooped on himself. And she just said, and she came in and she got that rage out because he was so ungrateful. He was so manipulative. And he kept doing it to her. He still couldn't admit to himself that this woman dropped everything after I got everything that I did to her. She still came to the hospital. She's still helping me in the house. He still was such an ass until she did that. And sometimes that's what we have to do, is because she basically said, no more. You do not get to talk to me like that. You do not get to treat me like that. I have boundaries now. So you know what? Go F yourself. What if she never came back? What if she never walked back into the house? He would have died in there. Because he had no way of getting himself to a phone because he was so paralyzed. And she, that's the way it is people manipulate us because unfortunately we allowed it. And we don't want to admit that. So we have got to be very clear on our limitlessness and take ownership of our limitedness and say, no more. It's not saying that you're going to walk away from these people and just leave them high and dry. Maybe you have to, but you might not have to. But it's to start saying no, and I got to do this for me and go on. Because in the end, the irony is that when you are a whole person, when you feel whole, you are so much better at doing things. You're better at being you. You're better at being a mom, a grandmother, a spouse, a daughter, a son,
a customer in line.
It's anything. You're better at it because you're happy, because you're doing the things that you want to do, and you're setting healthy boundaries to yourself. The problem is that you have to, in order to redo that, You have to go through some crap.
Mm-hmm.
But the first piece is you have got to stop believing that you are not limitless. You have got to own it and say, I am limitless. I can do. If I can't do it myself, I have enough brains to find people to do it for me. I am not an invalid. I am not somebody who can't. And there's plenty of people out there who've done amazing things that have, like I said, remember I said they're two guys in like 2 days apart or 1 day apart from each other in shopping. One guy with 2 prosthetic arms. I'm talking from here up, like no forearm and hand. And the other guy with 1. Out driving, doing stuff.
Yes, we limit ourselves. That was great, the analogy. I'm loving your analogies today, badass. Lidia, buenos días. Se te quiere de gratis. Linda says, I just got certified in human interaction technique and use that to delete old bad programs in our brain. It works. Absolutely. It really does. Well, when you acknowledge, accept, feel, release, and celebrate the woman you've become, everything else sheds away. Milagro says, mothers care for everyone. It's hard for them to understand now you need help and you need care. Yes. Speaking from experience of taking care of my ex-mother-in-law with my ex-husband after her stroke, this information, let me tell you, we're compassionate, empathetic beings. And we're gonna, it comes natural for us to be there for our loved ones. It's a natural thing. Sometimes you're not gonna like it every step of the way. Don't feel guilty because you're frustrated, because you want to walk out, because you're like, I'm done with this shit today. It's natural. You are your own individual, your own person. And now you're here caring for somebody 24/7. I lived it 6 years. There were days where I was like, what the hell? And then there were days that I was like this most compassionate person and I made myself sick. What happens is you go through the motions and you do what you can, how you should do it. But you don't put all your eggs in that basket, because for every beginning, there's an end for new beginnings. Now, when you say, I must take care of myself, you look at them with different vision. You see them differently. You see the helplessness that they have and you handle it. You make them feel like they matter regardless of what they're going through. Just like she said about the guys with the prosthetics. They could have sat there and been like, woe is me all their life. But they're like, fuck this shit. I got to do the best I can and then do some more. So they're not looking for pity. So when they do ask for help, people are going to show up because they're doing everything and they possibly can. So if they're asking for help, they really need it. But when people say, I don't want nobody else to do it, but you, think about it. Okay, now, I was going to say something. Oh, so I went into self-isolation, the best gift I could have given myself. I didn't need nobody to understand me. I didn't need nobody to ask me what I was doing. A lot of people accused me that I was in depression, not self-isolation. And I was like, no, I am healing in my way. I went in June, came out early October. But let me tell you something. I came out knowing that I didn't need anything. You know who's who in your life. That was one thing you come out learning. You know who's who to reach out. Then you learn new people coming into your life. But what you learn is you don't need half the shit you've been carrying on your life just because it has memories or because it belongs to this person or because I've owned it, or like my cousin Iris, who has bins of clothes because they still have price tags on it. So you have to realize what works for your life. For me, I wanted to live minimally. So I started getting rid of everything in my life. Clothes, shoes, makeup, jewelry, everything. Big items, little items. And I feel free. I feel light as a feather. I might not look lighter. I might look like a potato, but I'm feeling as light as a feather because it is my belief system. So what I'm saying is, when you're going to do something, what the badass Buddha and I are telling you, say, don't limit yourself to being somebody who lives with limits. You know, when you're feeling free and your windows are down, it's a cool night, they're playing a good song on the radio, there's nobody ahead of you, there's nobody behind you, and the speed limit says 60, but you're doing 80 because it feels so orgasmic. You need to hit that type of setting on your life. Don't limit yourself to what others want you to do, to how others make you feel bad about wanting to live your life. You were born. There's no one like you. There could be no one like you, and you would never be again. This is your life. And for all of us that are 50 and up, what the fuck are you waiting for? Let's start living this limitless life without hurting anybody, but gaining for ourselves. And when I say gaining, my success and abundance has nothing to do with dollar signs. Because if you have a great attitude, if you love yourself, if you honor yourself, if you value yourself, if you're walking down the street with dirty pants and flip-flops, but you got your shoulders back and your chin is up and you're walking with dignity and you're showing that integrity is my favorite word of the day, you have everything. Go ahead. There was some stuff that people need to read. Go ahead. You're still on mute.
Yeah, I just noticed.
You've
We're at
muted
the end, but we'll just say a couple things. Like Edith is talking about, yes, she understands what Gwen is going through, and Chanel said the same thing. And it's important to, again, it's awareness. It's stopping and really taking a moment to breathe in the chaos of it all, and look at it and say, what really is important to me? Is this really serving me, or is it sidelining me? Is it killing me in some cases? Lydia puts, there's so many resources in the health system, but we continue to be helpers we don't want to help. But me at 711 want to use the resource instead of asking my children to stop living for me. God help, because I will use what I learned. Life about how to live as an elderly. I don't want to be a burden to my children, and I've made that really clear to them. But what's really become that the reason I know, because I don't want to limit them because of what I believe I need, and I only know this through my experiences of caregiving and planning ahead and admitting things and being honest to myself and saying, I'm just not going to go down with the ship, because if you go down with the ship, you take other people with you, whether you believe it or not. And I don't want to do that. I mean, there are other extenuating circumstances. Things can happen that you don't expect, but that we will prepare for if that time comes. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to let myself go just so that I can, in the end, my kids take care of me. And I want to go as long as possible, because I don't want to limit myself anymore. I've limited myself for way too many years, and I don't want to do it anymore. So that's it.
And I think my advice, in my opinion, because I'm walking that truth, my truth. Remember, everybody walks their truth. Your truth is not my truth. It's not the badass Buddha's truth. What we do is we learn from one another, and we pick the good, ripe fruit that fits in our lives. We put it in our bowl, and then we remove what's going to ruin everything else we worked hard for. So everybody has a different journey. But what I'm saying is, don't lie to yourself. And if you have to scratch everything off your charcuterie board and start bringing in new ingredients into your life, then you start from zero. People are so afraid to start from zero that they hang on to something because there's a one in front of it. You cannot. So if you want to start from zero, get rid of all those jeans that you might fit into tomorrow. If you fit into that size tomorrow, a couple of months from tomorrow, celebrate and go buy yourself a damn new pair of jeans. Stop holding on to what was and start learning to live towards what will be. And only you can do that. But be in the opinions of self. Live in the expectations of self. Walk in the truth of the truth. There's no self. There's no your truth, my truth. There's only the truth. And sometimes the truth is so real and painful because it's so life-altering when you accept it that people want to keep walking with their mask on. That's you. Do you. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to participate because, that oil spill is going to come into my pond and we can't have that. So going forward, write down, what am I living my truth, or am I living because I want not to be a bad person in someone else's story? I'm the villain in everybody's story. Guess what? The villain is always like, oh my God, what they're doing now, what they do. Be the villain. Be the villain in your own story, because you got to cut them ties that you created knots in. Do it with love and understanding of yourself, and the limitless possibilities of your life can grow. But only you can do it. No one else.
And with that, we are going to close out. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And we had such great comments. But remember, this is the weekend. This is it. Write it down. Write the things down that you've been putting off or stopped doing and want to do again. And give it some thought. Say, oh, I like that. I forgot how I stopped doing that. Let me do that. Or maybe you're like, oh, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. That's okay. But you're not limited. We're not forcing you to do stuff you don't want to do. We want you to really fall in love with yourself and go for the things that are important to you. So we thank you, everybody, for coming on today. Next week is the last week of July, and we're going to be ending that week on a really high note, talking about seeing beyond. Like, think about what you know right now, and you're going to write that down. And then we're going to talk about going beyond that, like seeing beyond that. So have a list, because when you put it into the comments, we're going to go beyond that list. And Gladiator Guru and I will do the same. We're going to write down some stuff for ourselves, and then we're going to look beyond that. And then that is the definition of limitlessness.
Yes.
All
Put
right.
yourself through the turmoil. And everybody, I just want to say, doesn't the badass Buddha's hair look wonderful today? And she's loving it. She wore a big old heart. That's beautiful. You can already see the glow and change in you. And you've only been in Tennessee for a couple of days. But that's
and the good thing is too, is that I got a nice haircut from Editza. I have to keep putting her out there. I'm so loving my hair. It's ridiculous. You can't see because it's dark in here, but it's so curly. It's ridiculous.
But the thing, haircut by Aritza. I didn't do the full potential. I wanted something different today. But let me tell you something, that you're glowing because you decided to make a change. And you know what? It shows. When you decide to walk instead of get a ride, your whole demeanor changes. At first, you're like, I'm walking. But it's beautiful. And mi gente, you got to take care of you. You must take care of yourself. So let's just be very, what's that word I want? Not aware. It's bigger than aware. But you know what? Let's just recognize, look in the mirror. Yes, you do. She does look beautiful. And let's remind ourselves who the fuck we are. Look in that mirror and say, I see you. You ain't nothing but a pretty bitch. Because guess what? You are. You're as beautiful as you believe you are. Go out there and make today count.
Have a great weekend. We will see you next week. So from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes. And throughout the day, when you're walking and you're seeing everything and somebody cuts you off, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.